In 1937, a steelworker's wife in Youngstown, Ohio, could feed 8 people for 3 full days on exactly 62 cents. Today, that same amount of food would cost $140, and half of it would spoil before the week ended. Number 7 was prescribed by doctors for tuberculosis patients, but completely vanished from American tables within a single generation. Number 3 uses a kitchen technique that food scientists at Stanford only validated in 2019, 70 years after grandmothers stopped using it. Hit that subscribe button, because what you learn in the next 15 minutes could save you hundreds of dollars every month and might finally explain why your great-grandmother lived to 93 eating food we now call poverty meals. Let's count down the 12 Depression-era meals that were too smart to survive. Number 12, milk toast. This was not baby food or invalid fare, though doctors absolutely did prescribe it for recovering patients in the years before antibiotics existed. In the coal towns across Pennsylvania and West Virginia, mothers made this every single morning because it cost almost nothing and kept miners functioning through 12-hour shifts deep underground. The process was remarkably simple but effective. She toasted yesterday's bread, whatever was left over from the day before, until it darkened and crisped at the edges. She tore it into rough pieces in a bowl. She heated milk on the stovetop with just a pinch of salt and a small piece of butter if the family had any to spare. She poured the hot milk over the torn bread until it softened, but still held some texture. The bowl went to the table, still steaming, still fragrant. Men ate it before dawn without a single complaint because they understood what it truly was. Fuel, pure and simple. Bread was 5 cents a loaf in 1938 Pittsburgh. A quart of milk cost 12 cents. 1 loaf and 1 quart fed an entire family breakfast for 2 full days. Today, we buy artisan toast for $7 a slice at trendy brunch spots. Number 11, dandelion greens with bacon grease. This was not foraged food or some trendy farmer's market salad that costs $12. This was what you ate in late March and early April, when the root cellar was completely empty and payday was still a full week away. The Polish and Italian families living in Detroit's factory neighborhoods knew exactly when the first dandelions would push through the vacant lots near the auto plants. Women would go out in the morning and pick them before the flowers opened. When the leaves were still relatively tender and only slightly bitter, she would wilt them down in a cast iron pan with bacon grease that had been carefully saved from Sunday breakfast. Add just a splash of vinegar, if the family had any available, and serve them piping hot with cornbread on the side. The greens themselves cost absolutely nothing. The bacon grease was already paid for weeks earlier. The vinegar cost 8 cents a bottle and would last a month. What nobody understood until decades later was the nutritional density packed into these weeds. When nutritionists finally studied dandelion greens in 2015, they discovered these weeds contained more vitamin A than spinach, more calcium than milk, and more iron than any cultivated green vegetable you can buy at any grocery store. The women picking dandelions in 1936 did not know any of that science. They just knew from direct experience that it kept their children healthy through the hardest months of the year. Number 10, navy bean soup with ham hock. In 1934, a pound of navy beans cost 6 cents. A ham hock cost 10 cents. Together they made soup, feeding 6 people for 3 days. Women in Cincinnati's German neighborhoods and Chicago's Polish corridors made this identically. She soaked beans overnight, drained them, simmered them with the ham hock for 4 hours until the kitchen filled with smoky sweetness. By afternoon, the beans had softened completely and the meat was falling off the bone. She pulled the hock, stripped the meat, threw it back, mashed some beans against the pot to thicken. Salt, pepper, maybe an onion if she had one. The pot sat on the stove for days, reheated until gone. She served it with cornbread made from 4-cent flour. Something shifted in American kitchens between 1952 and 1968. Campbell's Soup Company spent $18 million convincing mothers that opening cans meant progress and cooking from scratch meant poverty. Their advertisements showed well-dressed women serving soup from cans while neighbors sweated over stoves. The message was clear. Cans meant modern, homemade meant backward. The USDA changed nutrition guidelines to favor foods that could be mass-produced and shipped long distances. Convenience became status. A generation of knowledge disappeared, not because it stopped working, but because companies needed women buying more cans. By 1975, most young mothers had never seen anyone make soup from a ham hock. The skill died in less than 20 years. Number 9, fried cornmeal mush. Every morning in Appalachian coal camps and Midwestern farming towns, the smell of frying mush mixed with wood smoke and sounds of men heading to work before sunrise. She made mush the night before by boiling cornmeal in salted water until dense and smooth, poured it into a loaf pan, left it overnight to set. Morning. She sliced it thick, fried each slice in bacon grease until the outside turned golden with a crust that crackled when bitten. Inside stayed soft and warm. Men ate it with brown sugar syrup or just salt. It cost 4 cents to feed a family breakfast for 3 days. Cornmeal was 3 cents a pound in 1936. A 5-pound bag lasted 2 weeks. You can still buy cornmeal cheap today, but almost nobody under 60 knows you can pour it into a pan, let it set, slice it, and fry it into something substantial. Number 8, potato soup with bacon ends. Butchers sold bacon ends for almost nothing because they were irregular pieces that did not fit in the display case. In Gary, Indiana, and Wheeling, West Virginia, women bought a pound for 8 cents and made soup lasting 4 days. She diced 6 potatoes, boiled them with bacon ends, added salt and pepper, cooked until potatoes broke apart, thickening the broth. Sometimes she added an onion. Sometimes she mashed half the potatoes against the pot for creaminess. Bacon fat floated on top in small golden pools. Children scraped the bottom of their bowls. Potatoes cost 2 cents a pound in 1939. A 10-pound sack cost 18 cents and sat in the root cellar until needed. The soup cost 10 cents total, fed 6 people for 2 meals. Today, canned potato soup costs $4 and contains mostly water and modified food starch. Number 7, biscuits and gravy with sausage drippings. On Sunday mornings in Arkansas and Oklahoma, the smell of baking biscuits pulled children from bed 3 rooms away. This felt like abundance even when there was almost nothing. She made biscuits from flour, lard, baking powder, salt, buttermilk. While they baked, she used fat left from frying sausage, added flour for a roux, slowly whisked in milk until thick. The gravy was creamy and rich, flecked with sausage and black pepper. She split hot biscuits, ladled gravy over them until it ran onto plates. Flour was 4 cents a pound, lard 12 cents, baking powder 10 cents. A tin, lasting months. Buttermilk was cheaper than regular milk because nobody wanted it. The whole meal cost 20 cents and felt like a feast. Number 6, cabbage fried in butter. This sounds too simple to matter, but it kept German and Polish immigrant families alive through winter when nothing else was available. Cabbage stored for months in cold cellars without spoiling. In January and February, when pantries were bare, she sliced half a head into thin strips, fried it slowly in butter until edges caramelized and turned sweet. The cabbage softened but kept texture. She added salt, pepper, sometimes caraway seeds from the old country. Served hot with boiled potatoes or rye bread. A head of cabbage cost 3 cents in 1940. One head made 3 meals. We spend $6 on organic cabbage today and let it rot in the refrigerator because we forget it exists. The thing about these meals that makes modern nutritionists uncomfortable is that the science was right all along. In 2017, researchers at Johns Hopkins published findings on fermented and slow-cooked vegetables, calling it a breakthrough in nutrient bioavailability. Hungarian and Polish grandmothers had been doing it since the 1880s. Food scientists at Cornell spent 5 years studying nutritional density of organ meats and bone-based soups. Concluded they were superior to most supplements at Whole Foods. Then someone checked the price. Bone broth costs $16 a quart. Liver pâté is $22 for 8 ounces. The wellness industry repackaged Depression-era survival knowledge and sold it back at a 4,000% markup. Your great-grandmother was making superfoods in 1938. She just called it Tuesday. Number 5, liver and onions with bacon. Liver was the cut nobody wanted, which meant it was cheap enough for families counting every penny. In 1935, a pound of beef liver cost 12 cents. 3 onions cost a nickel. She sliced liver thin, dredged it in flour, fried it quickly in bacon grease so it stayed tender. She fried onions in the same pan until golden, liver on the plate, onions on top, bacon strips alongside. Doctors recommended liver for anemia and weakness because it was the most concentrated source of iron and B vitamins available. Your body absorbed more nutrients from 1 serving of liver than from a week of vegetables. Food companies eventually created iron supplements, convinced people to buy pills instead of food. And liver disappeared from American tables within 1 generation. The knowledge that it was the most nutrient-dense food available got buried under marketing that said liver was gross and supplements were modern. Number 4, oatmeal with bacon grease and salt. This was not the oatmeal you buy in packets with dried fruit and sugar. This was fuel for men working physically for 10 hours straight. She boiled water, stirred in oats, added a spoonful of bacon grease and a pinch of salt, cooked it until thick. The bacon grease made it rich and savory instead of sweet. Men ate it before dawn and did not get hungry until noon. Oats were 3 cents a pound in 1938. A 5-pound bag cost 14 cents, lasted 2 weeks. Today we buy instant oatmeal for $7 a pound. It has added sugar, less fiber, 1/10 the protein of what these families made for pennies. Ask your oldest relatives what their mothers cooked during genuinely hard times. Not holiday meals or Sunday dinners or special occasions. What they ate on regular Wednesday mornings in February when the money ran out and payday was still 5 long days away. You probably have 2 years left to ask those questions. Maybe less. Every single year. Another 1 million people who personally remember living through the Great Depression die and are gone forever. They take recipes with them that were never written down anywhere because everyone just assumed someone else would remember. But remembering requires actively asking. And asking requires understanding that what sounds like poverty food to modern ears might actually be the smartest, most resourceful cooking anyone in your entire family ever did. These recipes kept millions of people alive and relatively healthy on almost no money at all. That knowledge is absolutely worth recording before it vanishes completely. Number 3, fried potatoes with onions. This appeared on tables every morning in working-class homes from Maine to California. She sliced potatoes thin, sliced an onion, fried everything together in lard or bacon grease until potatoes were golden and crispy on edges, and onions had caramelized into something sweet. Sometimes she cracked eggs over the top, sometimes just potatoes and onions. Either way, it cost almost nothing. Potatoes were 2 cents a pound. Onions were cheaper. The fat was already saved. This meal cost 4 cents, fed 4 people. We pay $9 for hash browns at diners now, and they taste worse because they are cooked in vegetable oil instead of animal fat. Number 2, cornbread and buttermilk. This was supper in sharecropper cabins across the South and coal camps across Appalachia when there was nothing else. She made cornbread in cast iron with cornmeal, buttermilk, an egg if she had one, salt, baking soda. It baked until the top cracked golden brown. She cut it while hot. You crumbled cornbread into a glass, poured cold buttermilk over it, ate it with a spoon. The buttermilk soaked in, turned it soft and tangy. It was filling and cooling in summer, cheap and easy every day. Cornmeal was 3 cents a pound, buttermilk 8 cents a quart. 1 skillet and 1 quart fed a family supper. That meal today would cost $15 if you could find real buttermilk that has not been pasteurized into something unrecognizable. Number 1, water gravy. Just flour, lard, salt, and water. It sounds like nothing because it was almost nothing, but it kept children from starving when there was absolutely nothing else in the house. She melted lard in a pan, added flour to make a roux, slowly whisked in water instead of milk until it thickened. She added salt and pepper. She poured it over biscuits or bread or potatoes, turned something dry into something you could eat. It had no nutritional value beyond calories, but calories kept people alive. Knowing how to make water gravy meant you could feed your family even when the cupboard was bare. It was the last resort, the thing you made when everything else failed. These were not poor people's meals. These were smart people's meals during poor times. There is a difference. The women who cooked like this understood nutrition, food, chemistry, economics, and seasonal availability better than most people with culinary degrees today. They just did not get to write cookbooks or open restaurants or charge $40 a plate. They fed their families on almost no money and kept them healthy enough to work and survive. That knowledge is worth more than any cooking show will ever teach you. This week, make 1 meal from this list. Use ingredients costing less than $5 total. See if you can feed your family on what your great-grandmother spent. Drop in comments which one you will try, or tell me what your grandmother made that I missed. I want to hear your family's version. The cost of forgetting this knowledge is measured in money we waste, health problems we ignore, and loss of skills that kept millions alive. The cost of remembering is just paying attention.